Today, we're diving into a topic that's, well, it's tough, but it's also incredibly important. We're going to go way beyond the stereotypes to try and understand, from the inside out, what the subjective experience of psychosis actually feels like. Okay, so first things first, forget everything you've seen in the movies. I want you to really sit with this question for a second. What would it feel like if the very foundation of your reality, what you see, what you hear, what you believe, just started to crumble? And this isn't some philosophical thought experiment. For millions of people, this is their day-to-day experience. And here's the absolute crucial point. The experience of psychosis isn't a failure of willpower, and it's not an overactive imagination running wild. No, it is a real biological shift in how the brain processes the world. Think of it like a hardware problem, not just a software glitch. So let's start by getting to the core of the problem. Imagine your brain is like a biological filter, or maybe a lens through which you experience everything. Well, in psychosis, that lens is cracked. The same world is out there, but the data coming in gets processed in a profoundly, fundamentally different way. Just so we're all on the same page, what we're talking about here is psychosis, a medical condition defined by a loss of contact with reality. Now, it's not a disease in itself, but it's a key symptom of conditions like schizophrenia and severe bipolar disorder. So how does this cracked reality first show up? Well, it often starts with the most fundamental way we know the world, our senses. All of a sudden, they become unreliable narrators, creating ghosts out of thin air. Let's start with hearing voices. It is so important to understand this is not the same thing as your internal monologue. An auditory hallucination isn't just a thought. It has the full texture and volume of an external sound. It can be as real and undeniable as my voice is to you right now. And we know this is real because we can actually see it. fMRI scans show that when someone is having an auditory hallucination, the parts of the brain that process external sound and language, the auditory cortex and Broca's area, they light right up. The brain isn't imagining a sound. For all intents and purposes, it is hearing a sound. And this isn't some rare symptom either. We're talking about roughly 75% of people with schizophrenia experiencing auditory hallucinations. It's a core, defining feature of the condition, with voices that can range from being critical to giving direct commands. This betrayal by the senses isn't just limited to sound. Vision can get distorted too. Many people report the world becoming overwhelmingly bright, colors feeling aggressive, and stable objects seeming to warp or breathe. I mean, just imagine not being able to trust the evidence of your own eyes. So when your sensory input becomes this chaotic and unreliable, your brain desperately tries to build a story to make sense of it all. And this brings us to the second pillar of psychosis, delusions. And crucially, these aren't just random, bizarre beliefs. There's a kind of neurological logic behind them. The key idea to unlocking this logic is called the aberrant salience theory. It was proposed by Kshitij Kapoor back in 2003, and it suggests the problem lies in the brain's importance filter, what scientists call salience. Here's the basic idea. A healthy brain is constantly filtering out irrelevant noise. But in psychosis, it's thought that an excess of the neurotransmitter dopamine messes with this process, essentially breaking the filter. And suddenly, everything feels intensely important, significant, and specifically aimed at you. Think of it like this. A neurotypical brain sees a red car and just dismisses it as background noise. But for a brain with a broken salience filter, that same red car feels profoundly significant. It has to be a signal, a code, a threat. The brain then builds a narrative, a delusion, to explain this overwhelming feeling of importance. Okay, so your senses are lying to you, and your mind is finding threatening patterns everywhere. Now, let's turn inward and look at how psychosis affects the very core of the self, that feeling of being me. One of the most misunderstood symptoms is what's called flat affect. On the outside, a person might look blank or emotionless, but the reality is that internally, they could be experiencing a hurricane of fear, anxiety, and sadness. So why the disconnect? Well, it's neurological. The pathways that link the brain's emotional centers to the muscles in the face are disrupted. They can feel the emotion intensely, but they're physically unable to get it onto their face. It's like they're trapped behind a one-way mirror. But perhaps the most terrifying internal experience is when the sense of self begins to dissolve. This quote captures the horror of what's known as thought insertion. Just imagine the most private space you have, your own mind, being invaded. Your thoughts no longer feel like they're your own.
The clinical term for this is a loss of the sense of agency. That's that fundamental, automatic feeling that I am the one thinking my thoughts and I am the one controlling my body. When that disappears, the boundary between self and other completely collapses. So let's put all these pieces together. What is the cumulative, subjective feeling of this experience? To put it simply, it's a waking nightmare.
It's the absolute terror of a nightmare, but with none of the relief of waking up. Because you are awake. Your reality is the nightmare. The very mechanism your brain uses to create a stable world has broken down, leaving you adrift in a sea of chaotic, threatening data. And ultimately, the most basic tools you have to navigate life, your senses, your thoughts, your very sense of self, have become profoundly unreliable. And that leaves us with a final, unsettling thought. The same biological hardware that creates a stable reality for most of us is what creates a terrifying one for others. It forces us to ask, if our brain is what creates our reality, then just how solid is anyone's reality, really?